For those who haven't met great-grandson Easton here, he's representing the fourth generation of the family. Are we about ready, Kristen? We're ready. The microphone is not working.
We hear you just fine.
Pardon me?
We hear you just fine.
Yeah, okay, good. So you all have a copy of the service this morning that we're going to be using. Okay. So good morning and welcome to our memorial service for Ann Kevin Kershaw, loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, aunt, and friend. A person who truly was a bright light in all our lives. Someone who will be dearly missed. In the New Testament, Jesus told us in John 10:10, I have come to bring you life in abundance. I do believe that Kevin lived life to the full. She lived a grace life, and she brought abundant blessings to others. We begin our service remembering with gratitude the many joys in her life and the joy she brought to others. Now, those of you that have been here for a few minutes have been enjoying the presentation, the slide presentation, but for the sake of people that just came in the last few minutes, would like to share a little bit of this program with you. So we're going to enjoy the slides together for the next few minutes.
we'll put it on mute for right now, but we won't be starting and stopping, so. Okay.
Very good, thank you, Jenny. Okay, I think those pictures gave testimony to the fact that Kevin did live life in abundance. That she had a very rich and beautiful life. The scripture paints a beautiful picture for us of an ideal wife in the book of Proverbs. Let us listen reflectively to this passage.
When one finds a worthy wife, her value is far beyond pearls. Her husband, entrusting his heart to her, has an unfailing prize. She brings him good and not evil all the days of her life. She obtains wool and flax and makes cloth with skilled hands. Like merchant ships, she secures her provisions from afar. She rises while it is still night and distributes food to her household. She picks out a field to purchase out of her earnings. She plants a vineyard. She is girt about with strength, and sturdy are her arms. She enjoys the success of her dealings. At night, her lamp is undimmed. She puts her hands to the distaff and her fingers to the spindle. She reaches out her hands to the poor and extends her arms to the needy. She fears not the snow for her household. All her charges are doubly clothed. She makes her own coverlets. Fine linen and purple are her clothing. Her husband is prominent at the city gates as he sits with the elders of the land. She makes garments and sells them, and stocks the merchants with belts. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs at the days to come. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and on her tongue is kindly counsel. She watches the conduct of her household and eats not her food in idleness. Her children rise up and praise her. Her husband too extols her. Many are the women of proven worth, but you have excelled them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty fleeting. The woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a reward for her labors, and let her works praise her at the city gates.
In Kevin, George indeed found a worthy wife and life companion. They were truly a match made in heaven. The love they shared radiated out and created a beautiful family. This love overflowed to extended family and a wide circle of friends. All of us have our treasured memories of what this love and friendship meant. I now invite family members and friends to share some of these memories with us. Nathan, would you like to start? Jimmy? Okay, Jimmy.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy Ash, and my middle name comes from Matthew Kershaw, George Matthew. So we were intertwined from the beginning, and 30-something years ago, I came out to Los Angeles to work, and Kevin and George welcomed me into their house. What I found later is that Kevin liked to cook and, I don't know, experiment with different recipes. So one night I came home from work, and she said, here's spaghetti dinner meatballs, and I looked at it and it was black spaghetti. And she goes, don't worry, it's gonna taste just fine. Later she told me it was from Octopus Inc. and was starting a new recipe, and I was grateful for the opportunity to try out her new dishes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Megan?
So my brother couldn't be here today. He had just, him and his family left to go to Italy for work 2 weeks ago. So this is really from both of us. And it's not anything fancy, it's just the fragments of memories that we have, and life advice from the woman who taught us really what unconditional love is for a family. Her red nails and bold gold jewelry, a warm smile with warmer hugs, always with pats. She gave the best back scratches, and we always got clear fuzzy drinks when we were sick. She fed us more sausage foldies than we know what to do with. We stayed up late spying on the grandparents and then laughed into the night at our card table, more nights than we knew what to do. She snuggled on the love seat with us no matter how old we got. We were swinging in the backyard swing until we were too old, and yet we still wanted to. We banged wooden spoons on our pots and pans. She watched from the bleachers every summer with her swimming lessons, and always took us to Thrifty ice cream afterwards for Rocky Road. She would take us to Knott's Berry Farm, and she even waited hours for us to be on Indiana Jones one year. She loved making every tradition special, spinning noisemakers to chase out the old year and welcome in the new. We would sing happy birthday, 2 verses always. Heavy, heavy, hangs over our head. And her favorite, teaching us to ooh and ah at the 4th of July fireworks. Advice that we should always live by and will never forget. Head up, shoulders straight, and walk like you have $50 in your pocket. And don't do anything you wouldn't want to read on the the front page of the newspaper. We all probably could have listened to that a bit more. Her intuition was impeccable, and she was never wrong with her gut feelings. You taught Josh how to drive the devil car, and she and I had just more adventures at Goff for years. Now we drive care and don't fall down, as we're off like a herd of turtles, and we will forever see you waving goodbye until we're out of sight. This is love your babies, because no matter how old we are, we will always be her babies. You said we would always be together again, and so we will be. Hugs and kisses until then.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other family members? Okay, well, I have a little something to share. I think I know Kevin longer than any of you. Because when I was born, we were living at Grandma's house in Rhode Island. So from the time I was probably 2 or 3 days old, we were there in Grandma's house. And Kevin at the time was 7 when I was born. And, so really in those first, I think we were there almost 3 years just before my brother was born. We moved to New Hampshire. But in those first years, I was doted on by my grandmother, my Aunt Mary, and my parents. And Kevin was, and my cousin Justin were my little playmates, because we were the only children in the house at that time. So I have just by the time I was 3 or 4, I have some memories. But after that, our family moved to New Hampshire, then Virginia, Indiana, and then eventually to California. But a big highlight for us was that every summer, wherever we were, Grandma and Kevin came to stay with us for the summer. As soon as school was out, then they would, come and stay with us. And so we always looked forward to summer. But when I was little, before the age of 5, I always insisted that my mother fix my hair whatever way Kevin was wearing her hair. So, I had to look just like her. And as soon as she left at the end of the summer to go back to Rhode Island, I would walk around the house as a preschooler insisting that people call me Kevin. So anyway, she was my idol. And, for me, she was bigger than life and brought just a special sparkle to any occasion. And during the year, we always looked forward to letters from Grandma, because then we would find out who Kevin was dating and, you know, what was happening, you know, dances she was going to and everything else. I think she was, you know, a very special student, living her very best life at Cumberland High School. So, you know, what was happening in her life was always a big discussion for our family. And when she was graduating from high school, my parents said to her she could have her choice. She could either have our whole family, at that time we were living in San Francisco and there were 5 of us. She could have our whole family come to her high school graduation, or she could have a car. And, okay, we ended up going to the graduation. She felt she had to say it. She told me later, she said, oh, I really wanted that car. But I had to say, I wanted all of you to come. So anyways, we all got in a car, drove across the country, and went to Kevin's high school graduation. At the age of 20, when she was 20 years old, she came out to live with us full-time in California, and she was with us for about 6 months straight, and at that time she was working as secretary at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills. At the time Elvis was staying there. She used to have breakfast sometimes in the morning with Colonel Parker, you know, so kind of interesting. And anyways, during that time she was receiving calls on a regular basis from a young man named George. And none of us out on the West Coast knew who George was, okay? And he was wooing her to return to the East Coast and to marry him. And Grandma and Mom thought Kevin was too young to get married. You know, she's only 20 years old, she's got this just starting a good career, and you know, she's too young to be getting married. And it was my dad that actually stood up for her and told my mother and my grandmother that they should allow her to go back to the East Coast. So that's how she ended up following her heart and did exactly what she wanted to do and made the best decision of her life. So I do believe that Kevin always lived life to the full. She once said that she was made for motherhood. And I know that she saw her job as always supporting George in any of his ventures, any of his business ventures. She had a zest for life and enjoyed family, friends, and fun times, to which many of you can testify. So all of us are called to live life to the full. So let us do as Kevin did and bring abundant joy and love into the lives of others. Okay, do we have anyone else that shared some of those fun times that would like to share anything with us? Yes.
I'm Pat Gaston, this is my husband Kevin, and we joined the Vintage MG Club about 29 years ago. And Kevin went to his first meeting, which I did not go to. Met Kevin for the first time. It was the only female Kevin he's ever met. So we had 2 Kevins in the club. But we spent many, many times traveling with them to, you know, all kinds of events and GOF. And I was sharing with Jenny that one of my fondest memories is every time we stopped, because you can't drive too far in these little MG cars. And so we'd stop and take a break, and every time we got out, she'd pull out her Jelly Bellies or Werthers and made sure we all had some, and so that we could continue our journeys. And so we have really wonderful memories, and I always felt a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anybody from the other room?
We're good.
I'll say something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Joe Colosio, I'm Matt's good friend. We met in 1980. Played football together, went to high school together, and now he's a business partner. But I was just thinking about when I was getting ready to come here and the memories we had. Because back then, I don't think we had cell phones, so I would just drive over to his house and knock on the door. What I remember was she was always so welcoming, you know, because these knucklehead high school kids would come over and invade her home, but she was always had this cute smile and very, very sweet. Great memories. I do want to say that one of our friends, John Jacobs, I talked to him this morning, told him I was coming here. He remembered when George gave him tickets to go see a soccer game, I think, at the Pasadena Rose Bowl. And so that was a fond memory of the Kershaw family also. So I do wanna say that those memories, the Kershaw family home was always welcoming, warm, and provided us some fun. Can't say what we confess the stuff we did, but
Are you
always.
referring to those late night parties?
Yes.
The kickers in the backyard?
It was always, we didn't have the cell phone and text messages, but it was always, Matt's parents are at an MG, club event this weekend. So that's how anyway, we had a lot of fun. I do wanna honor George and Kevin at this time. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, let us continue in our booklet there. Confident that God in His loving providence watches over us in life and in death, we pray together Psalm 23. So if we can recite this together. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I lack. In green pastures you let me graze. To safe waters you lead me. You restore my strength. You guide me along the right path for the sake of your name. Even when I walk through the dark valley, I fear no harm, for you are at my side. Your rod and staff give me courage. You set the table before me as my enemies watch. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and love will pursue me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. Jesus is truly our good shepherd, and his words bring us comfort and the promise that this life is just the beginning of our journey to an even more blessed life. Let us listen to his promises in the Gospel of John.
John 14, 1-3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many mansions. If I were not, I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will also come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be.
Let us take this promise of eternal life to heart as we reflect on the consoling words of the prayer, "Death is only a horizon." We give them back to you, O Lord, who first gave them to us, as you did not lose them in the giving. So we do not lose them in the return. Not as the world gives do you give, O lover of souls. For what is yours is ours also, if we belong to you. Life is unending because love is unending, and the boundaries of this life are but a horizon, and a horizon is but the limit of our vision. Lift us up, strong Son of God, that we may see further. Strengthen our faith that we may see beyond the horizon. And while you prepare a place for us, as you have promised, prepare us also for that happy place, that where you are, we may also be, with those we have loved forever. A strong woman is someone who is confident about who she is and is able to love herself and at the same time take herself lightly. She has agency and can make things happen for the good of others. She is fearless in the face of challenges. Here are some did you know facts about Kevin, which give an insight into the strong, amazing, and fun person she was.
Did you know Mom worked at a radio station? She was colorblind and hated matching socks in the laundry. She marched for civil rights wearing a bright red coat, and George went along as her protector. She liked Shasta daisies and lily of the valley. She boycotted grapes in support of Cesar Chavez, made the best fresh blueberry pie, was a popular high school cheerleader and homecoming queen. Red, white, and blue were her favorite colors. She had a wicked sense of humor. She was a news hound and was politically savvy. She worked at the polls, and she also felt everybody should vote. She left her diamond rings at home when she went on a cruise so that the fishies wouldn't get them. She and her best friend from high school were called the Gold Dust Twins. She loved the Grinch. She always looked forward to Friday night pizza and considered herself a professional corporate wife. She would change her name to Hepzibah or something else like that if the kids asked what if questions too many times. And Cheers Dear at 5 o'clock somewhere, or on the really bad days, called for an extra big girl glass of wine, and on some of the good days too. She could diagnose most problems on their T-car by the sound. Her favorite movie was The Quiet Man. She was a feminist, and she got the Orange Unified School District to include girls in shop classes and boys in home economics. She thought that breakfast for dinner was an inspired concept. She got the U.S. Treasury Department to jump to get Dad some of his missing coins by calling the secretary of the secretary. And she always said to get things done, bypass the boss and speak to the person that really gets the job done, usually the secretary. She would sing out loud, "We all live in a yellow submarine, and it's a small world," every single time she went to the Disneyland rides, with generations of visitors and friends and children and grandchildren. She helped stop the industrial gas line from being laid right next to the Knoll Canyon Elementary School. She always wore her gold hoop earrings, her bracelets, and red nails. And you could hear that went from generation to generation, because I heard that earlier as well. She spearheaded the lawsuit against the housing developer for the house that Mom and Dad have lived in since 1973. She was rewarded with a win and a settlement. She had an amazing intuition about people, and she believed that they would all come around again together. And she really missed smoking cigarettes.
Go ahead. As we have just heard, Kevin was a force of nature. Family-oriented, community-minded, justice-driven, full of fun with their own unique flair and zest for life. We thank God for the beautiful gift she was to all of us. Now, let us conclude our service by praying together the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. This concludes our service this morning. The Kershaw family thanks you for your presence and for your love and support at this time. And I put the address here of where the internment will take place. And Jenny, do you have other announcements for us?
I do. The little cards that were on each of the chairs and around in the other room, those are actually from the Donor Alliance. And I just want everybody to know, even though Mom had Parkinson's with Lewy body dementia, back in the 1970s, when it was first available to put on your driver's license, the little heart for a donor, Mom signed up for it all of those years ago. And we didn't think that she would be able to have that wish granted to help other people. But as it turns out, by contacting them before she passed, she was a candidate. And she was able to donate tissue that was going to be used for breast cancer reconstruction. She's a breast cancer survivor, so that had a very strong connection. They also use it for little infants in cleft lip, palate surgeries, so that that tissue can be used to start their lives off. And it is used most importantly for burn victims. And my brother-in-law, Dan Patnode, Sarah's husband, when he was young, actually needed a tissue donation. And so if anybody wants to think about that kind of a final gift, it was Mom's final wish to be a donor. And so that can still happen with any and all of us. And the fact that she's still giving after she's gone is something that was important to her. So, on another little note, we'll have a few minutes here, and before anybody leaves, Mom always started the next journey, whether it be an MG run, a weekend, a vacation, going out, stopping by McDonald's and getting a sausage McMuffin with egg was the way she started the next thing. So we have sausage McMuffins with eggs. They're all cut up into a half, but take as many as you want, because we wanted everybody to be able to start this next phase, this next journey with Mom and her sausage McMuffins with egg. So, thank you all, every one of you, for being here. I know that Mom touched each of us in a different way, but the fact that we can look around the room and know that she touched all of these lives and so many more. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and get the technical difficulties solved up here and put the slideshow back on with the music. That'll be up here for a few minutes. And if anybody has anything to just share and join, this is a nice intimate gathering. Please just go ahead and share stories. That's what Mom was about, sharing and caring.